We are on. Welcome back to episode 2.9 of Lock It In, presented by All Day Media. Nothing is happening on a Tuesday, but if you're watching this, it's Friday morning. Hopefully you're working from home or you have the day off. A lot is happening in the NFL, though. We have some trades going around. We have a lot of storylines developing and a lot of upsets last week in week 8. We're looking forward to a great week 9, but boys, storylines are sticking out to you this week.
Yeah, who's back of the week is the house. There's like two
True.
weeks in a row of favorites covering and the public winning, and every weird spread, like the Browns plus 9.5.
You had to see it coming.
The
You had
Packers
to see
minus 4.5. My lock of the week. Yeah, like the spreads that looked weird, they looked weird for a reason. Every time.
Vegas is not losing 3 weeks in a row.
No. I'm saying just fade all injury reporting. Just going back to the beginning of the season, Jordan Mason learning he was the starter before everyone else and then slipping up.
The Niners are dirty for that.
They 100% they are. Jordan Love's supposed to miss the entire season. And I mean, he's probably going to miss this week, but, he was right back in the mix of things. Rashee Rice was supposedly going to be okay for a day. Puka Nakua's snap counts what really put me over the edge here. I mean, these teams are just getting a competitive advantage by not telling the full story. Teams have to scheme differently depending on what players are on the field. So fade all the injury reporting and just bet on the studs.
That's a great point, Clark.
Congrats to anyone that had the stones to play Puka Nakua when his line was 2.5 receptions.
Fade the injury report. You would think that the NFL is rigged for that, but really I think they are just trying to gain a competitive advantage. Sports books probably aren't too mad about that, but we are on to week 9 of the NFL. We're going to try to pick apart the board and go 6-0 on our Lovitz and on our Tyler Lockett-ins. And then we're going to try to be immaculate with the teaser and then get Propalicious and go anytime on a touchdown score. So, Cobbs, why don't you start us off with a pick that you love this week?
Yeah, tough board. There's not a lot of things I love, but I'm going to go off recency bias. I love the over 46.5 in the Colts at Vikings game. The Vikings, hot start with the defense. I'm sure everyone's heard they've kind of been slipping up the last 2 weeks, allowing over 30 points back-to-back games. And then the Colts, obviously big news out this morning, are benching Anthony Richardson for Joe Flacco, who in 3 starts, the Colts have averaged 27 points a game playing with him. The Vikings themselves also averaged another 27 on offense. So you can do all that math. 46.5 is below all the numbers you would come up with. Therefore, I love the over.
Yeah, Anthony Richardson deserves to be benched. I mean, it's been talked about all week. I think him tapping out of a game in week 8 is absurd. Like being in mid-season form, but Joe Flacco is the quarterback to put up points in this game, and he's a veteran. He won't be flustered by Brian Flores throwing some crazy schemes at him as much as Richardson would be.
That's a good point. I'm actually staying in this game, and I'm taking the Vikings -5. I think I love that this week. I'm actually fading myself here because I really did want to go with the Colts, but I just haven't hit a love it pick in weeks, and so here we are. You'd think putting in Mr. Elite is going to make that offense go a lot better. And also with the Vikings losing Christian Darrisaw for the season, I mean, he's probably a top 5 tackle in the league already. They just actually traded for Cam Robinson a couple hours before we're recording this, but I don't think that really moves the needle for me. All that being said, I do think that this coaching staff's in kind of disarray right now. They haven't really known what to do with their starting quarterback, and it's going to change a lot of things up. And I mean, as bad as the Vikings defense has looked the past couple of weeks, I still think that O'Connell and Flores is a really good regime. And it's going to be hard to outcoach them. So I'm fading myself, going with the Vikings -5.
Sometimes you got to fade yourself.
Yeah, I respect it. I couldn't really pick a side. That's kind of why I went with the over, but I like those points.
I don't hate that, Clark, but sometimes you do have to fade yourself. So we're going with the Vikings -5.5, is it?
5.
Vikings -5. All right. I love the Falcons -3 against the Cowboys. It is in Atlanta. Kirk Cousins, he walks in his trap, he takes over the trap. He's won 3 of his last 4 starts, and Atlanta, I mean, they put up a lot of points, and they look like a solid offense with a veteran QB. On the other side, the Cowboys just stink. I mean, they did make it closer than the game actually was on Sunday Night Football against the 49ers. They ended up scoring kind of 2 garbage time touchdowns, but I really think that this Cowboys team, every time you watch a Cowboys game, they show sad Jerry Jones in the press box, and it is very depressing, like every time. I think the Cowboys are very bad. This one's in Atlanta. Gave me the Falcons -3.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's just sad because he's geriatric and probably just shat in his diaper. But I actually hate that pick so much because that's what everyone's going to say. And that's why I'm going to lock in the Cowboys +3.
Ooh,
So,
controversy.
yes, I think this is a sneaky opinion, but post miracle overtime win on Thursday Night Football, the Falcons are actually on a cooler, the opposite of a heater. They've struggled in 2 of their last 3 games. They struggled against the banged up Bucks. They got absolutely smoked by the Seahawks, and they kind of miraculously won that game against the Bucks. So, okay, they've struggled in their last 2 games, I should say. But I think their luck has to run out. I think the Cowboys, outside of the Lions massacre, they've hovered around their spread in 4 of their last 5 games besides that one. They've been within 1 point of covering their spread in 4 of their last 5 games. I don't think Atlanta was very battle-tested last week with Jalen McMillan as the wide receiver 1. Handling CeeDee Lamb is going to be a lot different than that. You're getting a field goal. I like Dallas. I'm fading the public.
Yeah, that's actually, I mean, you bring up some good points there. This is the first time, I think, in a long time, if not the entire season, that we have
This year
had
for sure,
conflicting
yeah.
picks. So I like that. But did you know that the Falcons, they fight no cap and they are something in scrap and walk in your trap, take over your trap? That was
Dak is
Did
going
you
to
know
walk
that,
in
dude?
their trap. So I think it goes along the lines of Kirko bands, Kirko chains last year. It's kind of the same
Yeah, but dude,
thing,
they
right?
just put chains on him like he's like a dog. Like, oh, like look, here's our white quarterback.
I mean, did you like when they did it to Goff?
Yeah, dude, that's Goff is sick.
Yeah, so
Why
you're,
you
so you're a
hating?
hater then. I think it's
Yeah.
funny they took Mr. Cole's cash.
You really get with this Kirk Cousins, persona, you actually get literal polar opposites. Walk in your trap, take over your trap, Kirko chains, and then Cole's cash, where he's like his wife is dressing him and he's wearing a flannel. That being said, I mean, Younghoe Koo just has to kick a game-winning field goal to cover against the Cowboys. On the other side, Brandon Aubrey has to kick a field goal to cover against the Falcons. It's controversial. We'll see what happens.
Sure. All right.
Do we?
This is
Dude,
the
I
Super
don't
Bowl
know.
of kickers, apparently. I mean, those are 2.
Well,
this is the best.
that-
This is a kicker matchup of the year.
It's a field goal game, dude.
Yeah,
It's a field goal
exactly.
game.
Wow. So it's just going to be a push.
We're going for a push, dude. Why don't you just do that? Bet somebody to win by exactly 3. All right, so Cobbs, you're fading the public. You are taking the Cowboys. I am probably a square. I'm taking Kirk Bangs and the Falcons in Atlanta. Clark, what are you locking in this week?
I'm locking in the Commanders -3. They're in MetLife against the Giants. The Giants have no run defense, and they're giving up the most yards per play in the league. And they probably have no Tyrone Tracy after he got up a little, bobbled. I think he has a concussion. Daniel Jones hasn't thrown a touchdown in MetLife since New Year's Day 2023, 667 days ago. I mean, if that's not enough, I mean, we saw the Commanders Hail Mary. This team's electric. It's not just the offense. The defense has really come along too. It's not really the secondary to guarantee massive yards to receivers like it was at the beginning of the year. This 3.5 is tough, but I think they're going to win by a touchdown at least.
Yeah, Cowboy or the Giants look pretty bad.
Divisional game. They're annoying. I agree. If I had to take a side of that line, I'd take the Commanders, but I feel like that's an annoying game.
That does seem like a public all over the Commanders game, but not every game's a trap game. I would take that all day.
It's one of those lines that I'd want to stay away from it because it looks so weird, and then I'd be missing out on it because it was the easiest of the week.
Yeah, I know the feeling. I mean, Jaden Daniels is electric. The Giants have a decent defense with, Brian Burns, Dexter Lawrence. They get to the quarterback, but Jaden Daniels is pretty slippery and elusive back there. So I can see him winning by a field goal.
Well, it needs to be more than that, but
I can see him winning by a field goal and a half. I am locking in the Browns Chargers under 42.5. We all saw Jameis was awesome in his debut as the Browns starting quarterback. The Browns are still averaging their 30th in the league in yards per game as an offense, and they just had a high scoring week last week. Same with the Chargers. They put up 20, 30 points, something like that against the Saints. I mean, they did come off some high scoring games, which were both crazy games last week. I think that's why this total is a little bit higher than it should be. 42.5. I think that number is going to move down as we get closer to Sunday. Like I said, the Browns are 30th in yards per game and the Chargers are 24th in yards per game. Not a whole lot going on offense on both these teams. Both have decent defenses. Harbaugh is a run the football kind of guy. Under 42.5 is a lock. So bang.
Yeah, I think the Chargers and Harbaugh are just lock city for unders.
Yeah,
Grit and grind.
exactly. Grit and grind. Those are picks for against the spread and with the over and under. I'm just going to say right now, I think the Cowboys-Falcons game is a game-winning field goal. That is my lock of the week. Aubrey or Younghoe Koo for a game-winning field goal. Other than that, we're going undefeated on the Lovitz and Tyler Lockett-ins. But let's get propalicious. Let's go with our anytime touchdown score. There's been a lot of chalk on the board as far as star players and the big names that are scoring touchdowns this year. So what do we got this week, Cobbs?
Real quick, bonus bet. It sounds like you're saying two team tees, both sides of the Falcons.
There we go.
Game. But anytime touchdown, there's one thing that I've continued to do to get back on the wagon of being the touchdown king, Clark's the touchdown king. Taking a rushing touchdown against the Dolphins. That's how I broke the cold streak last week. I took James Conner. This week, they're playing the Bills, and I'm going to take Josh Allen. Deshaun Watson scored a rushing touchdown against this defense. Josh Allen can too. He only has 3 on the season, 2 of which were from week 1. So he's a little bit due. You're getting a lot more juice on him, obviously, than James Cook, I'd imagine. The lines aren't out yet. But So Dolphins giving up a rushing TD every game. Josh Allen, he gets kind of that tush-push dynamic. He also is obviously athletic enough to run it himself. He gets designed runs from the 5-yard line sometimes. There's a lot of different ways he can find his way in there. So he might even fucking catch one. Who knows? He's done that before, too.
Wow. Calling your shot there. I mean, yeah, he's 250. If I had to guess, he's just a big body guy who, I mean, if they're down near the goal line, he'll run it, and he is fearless. He's a fearless runner, but he does not get nearly as banged up as Tua or Anthony Richardson would as fearless runners.
Yeah, that's fun. It should be fun. It's better odds than James Cook too. So if you're a value villain, then you'll love that. I'm staying in this game, and I am taking Devon Achane on the other side. The Bills are rolling. The Dolphins' season's on life support. And that makes me want to take the Bills in this game. So naturally, the Dolphins will keep it close. I think it's clear the Dolphins need to feed Achane because he's the most explosive guy on the field. It kind of seems like Tyreek's dealing with a nagging foot injury that's kind of left him hobbled last week, even though we were all hoping for a big game. I just think Achane's going to get fed, and the Dolphins are going to keep this game at least somewhat close, being a divisional game.
Every time I bet on Achane, Mostert scores. And then every time I bet on Mostert, Achane scores. I can't get that offense right personally. So I hope you're right this week, which both of them scored last week. So
Yeah, rushing or receiving. Good do it.
Yeah, but Bills Dolphins, when Tua plays, usually provides for points and entertainment. Last week we got kind of robbed, obviously, with Tua getting knocked out by DeMar Hamlin.
Josh Allen scored a touchdown in that game, and Achane to score a touchdown in the same game. Hopefully that's an over. Sounds like a points bet, perhaps. I'm going with a game where we could have a lot of points, but last week his counterpart scored a touchdown, didn't get as many targets. This guy, he got a lot of targets and a lot of receptions, but he did not score a touchdown. This is one Puka Nacua, who looks like the Geico caveman with his hair and with his facial hair that he's got going on. He went to, rehab his, what was it, an ankle injury, knee injury, whatever it was.
Nah.
He came out looking mean and nasty, and he was all over the field catching balls. But I think he gets in the end zone this week. He did not score last week, and he's going to be a huge part of this offense. So give me Puka Nacua anytime touchdown.
Yeah, I like that. I think Seahawks-Rams also sets the stage for some points as well. I know the Seahawks have had some injuries to their defense and secondary in particular that continue to linger. So that also bodes well for your case.
I love that. I was thinking about taking that actually myself. So
nice. Okay. So we got Propalicious. Now it's time to get Immaculate. We were almost Immaculate last week. We were Immaculate 2 weeks ago. So we are due to be Immaculate once again. With the Immaculate teaser, we got 3 picks. We buy down 6 points. It can't lose. Cobbs, who do you have for the Immaculate teaser?
Yeah, for my contribution to the Immaculate teaser, I'm going to provide the under in the Patriots-Titans game. These are 2 bottom 4 offenses. The Patriots have gotten this little spark from Drake May, but if they're smart, he's going to sit after the injury scare last week. Brissett finished the game. He actually finished the game well, but I wouldn't anticipate a ton of points here. The Titans, despite giving up 52 points last week, due to some weird dynamics of the game, are still the number one defense in yardage, least amount of yardage allowed. They outgained the Lions by about 200 yards despite losing the game by 38 points. They're a weird team. They don't really score a lot of points offensively. Neither do the Pats. You can buy it to under 43.5.
That is beautiful. Just like 2 weeks ago, how I said I wasn't even gassing up the Immaculate teaser. I just thought the over in the Vikings-Lions game was an absolute lock. I feel the same way about this game, the under, however. And like you were saying, the Titans outgained the Lions by 200 yards. Titans suck, and the Patriots without Drake May are not going to put up points. I love that.
I absolutely love that. I'll be teasing the Bengals down to -1.5 against the Raiders at home, and for my contribution, Bengals defense is getting healthy. It sounds like T. Higgins' quad injury wasn't too serious, and I'm sure everyone's seen the Joe Burrow quote going around online, how they need to win 7 of their next 9 to make the playoffs. With all of his weapons fully healthy and a determined Joe Burrow, I think they could beat the brakes off this team and at least win by 2. You know, they're so devoid of offensive talent outside Brock Bowers. They have the worst rushing offense in the league. It's easy.
Yeah, I still think the Bengals are going to find their way into the playoffs. I'm going to put that on record right now. They seem to, as long as Burrow stays healthy, they seem to always do so.
They really do seem like that team. It's so weird because I don't think any other team I would have confidence in, but unwavering confidence for the Bengals, even though they did not look great last week. And 7 out of 9, I think that's doable for Joe Burrow, which I love that answer, by the way, at that press conference. For my supply of the Immaculate teaser, I will provide the Buccaneers plus 14.5 against the Chiefs on Monday Night Football. Wise man once said, Baker Mayfield, he's a competitor. The Chiefs did not cover against the Raiders, and 14.5 for a professional football team. It's a lot of points. Chiefs are the Chiefs. They haven't looked great. Cade Otton is actually elite. He had an amazing game last week. Yeah, and the Buccaneers, with Godwin and Evans out, they still have a lot of weapons that are stepping up, and I think they'll be able to not lose by 14. So throw the Bucs plus 14.5 in the Immaculate teaser.
Yeah, I actually love that because people are going to want to tease the other side. The Chiefs just haven't been like dominating. They don't score a ton of points. Their defense is good.
Yeah, I mean,
I like it.
The Lions lost one game, and it was to the Buccaneers. The Chiefs are undefeated. That could be a thing. But yeah, you're right. I mean, the Chiefs play great defense, which, again, 14.5 points. You got to put up a lot of points to cover for over 2 touchdowns in the NFL.
Yeah, I agree. I think that makes for a great episode 2.9, and we'll see you next week for episode 2.10. Lock it in.